Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. So we've been playing Genshin Impact for quite a while, and while they have done a decent job at adding a good amount of quality of life features, there are still quite a lot of features that I think we are in desperate need of. So in this video, I'm going to be going over roughly 14, at least I have 14 written down right now, but 14 quality of life buffs that I would love to see come in Genshin Impact. So we're going to start off with some quality of life features for the map. Now, this map is overall a pretty solid map where you're able to teleport and do all this stuff. But one thing that's kind of grinded my gears for a long time is not having an indicator of how many Serenity Pot coins you have unless you click on the Serenity Pot thing down here. Now, most of the time, actually, I often forget to check the Serenity Pot. And who knows how many coins I've actually wasted because it does not tell me that I have maximum realm currency. So it would be great if they actually had an indicator right here that tells you if you do have maximum realm currency. That way you can go over and click on the Serenity Pot and then go collect. Now the next thing I think that a lot of players have been asking for a very long time is more map pins. Now I'm not really the type of guy to have a ton of map pins. Right now I only have 89 out of 150, but there were quite a few times when I definitely wanted more map pins, and this literally cost Mihoyo nothing. It's completely trivial for them to add more map pins. They can just literally increase this number from 150 to 200 or 250, heck even 300 for all I care. It would be cool to see what players end up doing with 300 map pins. You could make some pretty interesting things. But yeah, that's such a simple change with literally almost no cost to them. I would love to see them add more map pins, especially as we have more and more areas to explore. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the oculuses in Genshin Impact. I'm not asking for them to show us like oculuses that we haven't found or any indicator of that, more so of the oculuses that we have found. For example, like a little maybe a toggleable show oculuses that have already been found. You can click on that and it'll mark those with like a little oculus with an X icon indicating that you have already found those oculus. This way, when you compare your Genshin Impact map to the interactive map, you don't have to go back and look for all 100 freaking oculuses on the interactive map to end up finding the couple oculuses that you end up missing. So yeah, that would just be something that I would personally love to see. Let me know what you guys think about that one specifically. Now, the next thing is an underground map. I get that they, you know, kind of have this desert with a whole bunch of underground areas, but I have not even bothered trying to fully explore this area because I can't make heads or tails out of the underground area personally. I get lost so easily, and really I just don't have the patience for that anymore. So having just like the ability to perhaps have a couple layers where you can just go down for one level, down another level, to see at the very least like the layout of the underground map would be an insanely helpful thing, at least for me, and a very nice quality of life when it comes to exploration in Genshin Impact. I know that that's going to be quite complex with the different layers and levels, but this is already a problem in the chasm, although the chasm in my opinion was a bit more manageable because you didn't typically have to explore like this layer and then explore the layer underneath that with no map and explore another layer underneath that with no map at all. So really, like, this whole thing is just one giant pit, right? Whereas in the desert area, I mean, this whole area is just all underground and you just have absolutely no map at all. I think there's even multiple layers underground. Who the heck? I sure as heck don't know. So yeah, I would love to see an underground map. Now this is one that we have had and we've been complaining about for a very long time, and I don't think Mihoyo has any plans to ever implement this, but that doesn't mean that we can't ask for it, and that is the ability to toggle constellations. And it's not just because like, oh, you know, Constellation 6 Bennett ruins hyper carry Kaching build, or you know, this doesn't allow you to use Ayaka's cryo normal infused normal attacks. It's not really about that in my opinion anymore, because there's very few constellations that you really want to reset like Bennett's Constellation 6, but more so just for like a bit of variety, as well as for whales or even content creators like myself to be able to play the game again at Constellation 0 when, you know, your characters aren't just like at Constellation 6 and blowing everything up instantly because of the constellation. Sometimes you want to dial it back, feel what it's like to play with Constellation 0 again. That feature would be greatly appreciated, and I would absolutely love to see the ability to disable constellations and then of course to re-enable it, right? I can't imagine anyone is going to be made out of so much money that they're going to disable it and then buy all the constellations again to re-enable that. Yeah, but more like get the little item that you get back and then be able to reuse it later. Now, the next quality of life feature that I would absolutely love is related to artifacts. So first of all, I don't know if it's just because I'm a whale, so you guys are going to have to let me know what you guys think about the artifact limit. But for me, I find myself constantly trying to get rid of artifacts and figuring out what artifacts I don't want anymore. I mean, I have so many artifacts locked now at this point. I mean, you guys can just see, like, we're at the halfway point and I just now reached my level 20, the end of my level 20 artifacts. So after just a few days of farming artifacts, I end up maxing out 1500 out of 1500 artifacts. Now, one solution is to just add more artifact space, which I would personally love, right? And I don't think that's too big of a problem for most of us. However, another thing that would be incredible is if we're able to convert these artifacts into the artifact juice, like, you know, squish them, pulp them, blend them, so that way we can turn them into the nice, healthy, organic artifact juice. Where is the artifact juice item? So if we go here and we enhance any random artifact, and these artifact juices, that sanctifying unctions, yeah. So if we could actually break down, especially 3, 4-star, heck, even 5-star artifacts, just like have a bulk breakdown option in the artifact menu to convert them into these things, that would be insanely appreciated, as these things not only condense and save a ton of artifact space, but you can also super efficiently and quickly level up your artifacts with these things just by clicking a few times versus, for example, when you enhance this, you have to do this, and then you do this twice, and then finally you go and select a 3-star artifact so you don't waste EXP, and bam, okay, so this one is now garbage, but you guys get the point, right? That would just save a lot of time, or even if you expand this to a few more slots, but I don't really know how I feel about that, because if you only have 4-star artifacts, you know, you're gonna have to remove them, so yeah. But more so just being able to squeeze the artifacts into artifact juice to make it easier to enhance our artifacts and to save space. 2 birds with 1 stone. And the last change that I would absolutely, and I think everyone would love to see, is some way to reduce a bit of artifact RNG. And it is absolutely brutal farming for artifacts. I'm a mega whale and I still feel like my artifacts are complete garbage. I get that it's the end game of Genshin Impact to endlessly grind for artifacts, but it would also be, you know, we're always going to chase perfect artifacts no matter what. So may as well just let us have a little bit of an easier time. And I think I've actually thought of a great solution for that, and it's through food. So what if, for example, they came out with a few recipes where when you eat the food, for example, more goblets drop. That way you can farm goblets at literally like double the rate that they normally drop, which would be 1 in 5 roughly artifacts that drop are goblets. So make it, for example, 2 in 5, or even heck 3, or 3 out of 10, for example, 30%. Any type of buff to a specific goblet or even substat or main stat, that gets a little convoluted, but I at least think like 5 recipes to increase the drop rate of a specific artifact slot would be a great compromise. It would be a great start for us to start farming for artifacts, and that way we also farm for some food too, which right now, I mean, we kind of just use food willy. I mean, I don't know what your guys's food consumption habits are, but I tend to not eat too much food in Genshin Impact, mostly for showcases or for fun or whatever. So yeah, it would be great to actually feel the desire and strong need to farm for food by mitigating some artifact RNG. One more thing I totally forgot about. Can we please get some loadouts for characters? it is very difficult, time consuming, etc. to have to rebuild and shuffle around artifacts all the time in order to, you know, change their builds, right? Like, you know, I have to do all this little mental math to figure out, oh, is this artifact gonna do better than that artifact? Just please let us have a loadout which equips the weapon as well as the artifacts on a character, and even add like a little UI that says, okay, you're about to remove this artifact from this character. Like, just have one summary screen that shows, okay, Farazan's going to lose her tenacity piece if you put this on Yelan, and then, you know, one little icon for each with an arrow. That would be an insane and awesome addition to Genshin Impact, is to have loadouts for weapons and artifacts for our characters. It would just save us all a ton of time. Now, let's move on to a couple more miscellaneous changes that I would love to see. And this is not for me specifically, but more so just for the general free-to-play player. But it'd be great to have a way to reacquire some of these event weapons like the Dodoku tails. It could be a slow and grueling process, but as long as it doesn't like cost primo gems or maybe even like it doesn't even cost resin, for example, but perhaps like if you could only buy one a week or one refinement a week, and you could use like dream solvents to do that, like a dream solvent merchant or something, that would really or heck, even trade billets, not ideal, but just something that a free-to-play player can use that doesn't already cut into their resin economy or primo gem economy, but still, like, you know, uses a valuable resource to get those free-to-play event weapons at a slow but reasonable pace, like one copy / refinement per week. I would love to see that for players that just want to collect some of these weapons that they've missed out over all this time. Now, the next thing is food. Why in the world do we not have a food buff indicator? Like, how much time do you have left on your food? For example, let's say I use this golden crab, right? This food buff indicator should have like just like a little grayed out circle that goes around it to indicate how much time is left on your food buff. This drives me absolutely crazy because, like, you know, you're doing a showcase or something. It's more so for content creators like myself, but your food buff runs out like right before you're about to pull off this giant nuke, and then bam, you know, you just wasted all that time as well as that food. Just, you know, just put a little circle here that indicates how much time you have on your food buff. It is not that difficult. Now, I mentioned 14 at the beginning, but now I've come up with a couple additional ones just talking about that type of indicator. But having some indicators for like elemental skill, cooldowns, and charges would be incredible. I know that, like, for example, it's a bit cluttered in the UI, but we've got plenty of space over here for another little circle to indicate Sayu's elemental skill cooldown. And perhaps you can even have like the simple UI and then have a more advanced display for the UI that would indicate more circles and timers for players like myself. And speaking of elemental skill cooldowns, for the love of God, just reset elemental skill cooldowns and character like innate timer cooldowns in Abyss 12 when you click the retry button. We already do this for certain events, I think, where your character state gets fully reset, but my goodness, just reset the elemental skill cooldowns and just cooldowns. Just reset cooldowns when you click the retry button in Abyss 12. It is not that difficult. I don't think anyone's going to complain or miss waiting 20-30 seconds every time they click retry for your character's elemental skills to reset. Or even worse, if you get hit by slowing water, you have to wait like a freaking minute because of the cooldown. Pardon my potty mouth. Maybe I'll get demonetized for the use of the FR word, frickin', but we're gonna have to see how that goes. So, and while editing that portion on Abyss 12, that reminded me about something in Abyss 12 that really, or just Abyss, that really drives me nuts. And that is when you actually start Abyss 12, half the time the timer is at like 9:59 instead of 10 minutes. Just fix that so we don't have to re-roll for the Abyss timer to be at 9:59 half the time. Like if we click start right now, you see how it went from 10 to 9:59 almost instantly in this attempt. And oftentimes players, when they speedrun or play Abyss 12, they end up fishing for the Abyss 12 timer, which is not fun and it's not really core to gameplay in Genshin Impact. So yeah, it'd be great if they could fix that as well. Yeah, and I've got one more bonus thing, and this is just like a nice little, you know, I think we've gotten kind of used to how Mihoyo treats us every anniversary. It's okay, I get it at this point. Genshin Impact is in no way less popular because of it, but I have always thought that we should get maybe just one single Constellation, Universal Constellation 5, Universal 5-star Constellation item that we can use on any character that we want. That would be an incredible gift, and it's just one, and you know, that way it's just one little bone that Mihoyo can throw at us to really use it on a character that we really adore and love, or a main character, whatever, and to make them more powerful and just to make the player base a little bit happier. I just love to see that type of appreciation be demonstrated. But you know, I get it. Mihoyo's been incredibly successful still with Genshin Impact, even without something like that. And overall, you know, this is all just like some feedback from me as a content creator for some quality of life changes in Genshin Impact. Let me know what I missed and what you would like to see as well. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.